On a bright Saturday morning, Anna steps into the boutique, the soft chime of the door announcing her arrival. Sunlight spills through tall windows, catching a glint of polished leather and gold hardware. Her eyes settle on a sleek, deep burgundy handbag, smooth and supple beneath her fingers. She lifts it, inhaling the faint scent of leather, rich, earthy, intoxicating. Her heart flutters with quiet excitement, imagining it draped over her shoulder, paired with her favorite coat for the weekend brunches she adores. David follows, calm, composed, eyes narrowing slightly, a glance that weighs more than words. His gaze lingers just long enough to unsettle. "That one, are you sure?" he asks, tone casual, almost teasing. "It's nice, but don't you think it's a bit much? Maybe something simpler, smaller, sleeker." His words are soft, almost affectionate, but they carry an invisible edge. She can feel it curling around her chest, squeezing. Anna freezes, fingers stilling on the leather. She loved it instantly. Now doubt creeps in. Am I being too flashy? Too indulgent? Her pulse quickens, a trace of nervousness threading through the excitement she felt moments ago. She sets the bag down and picks up another, a soft beige this time, gentler, subtler. "What about this one?" she asks, searching for the middle ground. David tilts his head, lips pressing into a faint line of judgment. "Oh, I guess it's okay," he says. "But it doesn't really stand out. You could do better, right? Something that really suits you." No raised voice, no insult. Yet in that heartbeat, Anna feels the weight of inadequacy settle deep in her chest. Her taste, her choices, her instincts, all quietly questioned. The thrill of finding something she loved evaporates, replaced by a quiet self-doubt she can't shake. She touches the bag again. The smooth leather feels heavier now. Each fiber seems to whisper doubt. Her shoulders tense, fingers hovering over the handle, as if awaiting a verdict she can't give herself. Finally, she chooses a different bag, muted, safe, approved. Not what she wanted. But the faint nod of his approval presses a small, bittersweet relief across her chest. The lesson is clear. Her choices matter only insofar as they please him. And even as she leaves, a small spark remains. Somewhere deep inside, Anna whispers, "This isn't fair." Because this is devaluation. Subtle, surgical, devastatingly effective. Joy is no longer hers, it belongs to him. And this is just one quiet moment in a long pattern she hasn't yet fully seen. Have you ever felt like your opinions didn't matter, even about the smallest things? The days that follow unfold in silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that listens for permission to exist. One evening, at dinner with friends, Anna wears a new dress she chose with care, soft fabric, a color that lights up her skin, something that makes her feel alive. She laughs freely at a joke, gestures with ease, warmth spilling through her voice. For a moment, she feels like herself again. David's eyes follow her, calm, measured. Then he leans closer and says, lightly, as if in passing, "You laugh a lot. People might think you're too much. Don't you agree?" His tone is gentle, conversational, almost caring, and yet each word lands like a quiet weight. Even in joy, she's being tested. The laughter that had been effortless now feels observed, examined, contained. To be loved, she must bend herself into what he'll allow. But for how long? By the end of the evening, Anna sits composed, careful, polite, quietly edited to fit a shape he silently desires. The handbag from the boutique rests in her lap, a subtle emblem of the choices she now tailors to his liking. A few weeks later, Anna and David step into the bright, echoing showroom. The scent of polished stone and fresh grout hangs in the air. Walls of tile stretch high, patterns and textures competing for attention. Anna's heart beats with excitement. She had spent the morning curating options she loved, eager to contribute. "Look at these," she says, pointing to a warm, matte slate tile. David walks over, running a finger along the surface. He nods slowly, then turns to the sales assistant, speaking with quiet authority. "Slate's not ideal for this space," he says. "Too porous, stains easily. Porcelain is denser, more practical." Anna blinks, trying to interject. "But I read online that matte slate can work if it's sealed." He turns to her with a calm smile, patience threaded with subtle authority. "True in theory, yes, but in practice, not really. I've worked with these materials before. You'll save yourself a lot of hassle if we stick to something consistent, trust me." Have you ever been convinced someone else knows better, even when you feel sure of yourself? He pivots back to the assistant, outlining installation angles, water absorption, and color retention, voice steady, confident. The staff nod along, impressed. Anna feels herself shrinking. Her morning research, her careful notes, her excitement, suddenly feel fragile, childlike, under the weight of his certainty. She picks up another tile, a patterned one she'd quietly loved. "What about this?" David glances at it. "Interesting," he says softly, but a bit loud for the kitchen. "Cohesive choices work best. Bold ones can shine if you really know what you're doing. Not cruel, not overt, yet each word presses like a shadow." Anna nods, throat tightening. "You're probably right," she murmurs. And still, beneath that polite assent, something aches, a faint pulse of awareness. Her voice is being folded away, her taste filtered, her choices measured. Public devaluation often hides behind logic, criticism disguised as expertise, validated by others. It doesn't feel like humiliation, it feels like correction. Confidence erodes silently, not through insults, but through the quiet surrender of self-trust. Even when someone sounds calm, certain, or logical, your intuition still matters. You don't need credentials to know what feels right. When someone repeatedly makes you question your instincts, they're not guiding you. They're teaching you to mistrust yourself. What would it take for you to reclaim your voice, the one they tried to silence? Rebellion doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, "Remember who you are. Your taste, your vision, your expression. Reclaim it, one small decision at a time." Confidence isn't born from certainty. It's rebuilt in the moments you choose to trust yourself again. As time goes by, the woman who once lit up every room now walks on shards of her own silence. She moves carefully, like a shadow terrified of being seen. Breakfast is a ritual of simmering tension. She places his coffee just so, measuring his expression like a storm forecast. A raised brow, she's failed again. A sigh, disaster. So she tries harder, until one night, he watches her fumble with the dinner plates and says, "You can't get anything right, can you?" The tone isn't cruel, it's clinical, detached, like he's diagnosing a patient. Her throat closes. She nods. Tears sting, but she hides them quickly. She's learned he hates when she cries. "I'm sorry," she whispers. He exhales, slow, satisfied. "I'm just trying to help you be better." And that's the genius of his cruelty. He makes her believe that breaking her is helping her. Now she flinches before he even speaks. She rewrites her sentences before they leave her lips. She rehearses being smaller, quieter, safer. Her laughter has become a ghost, her confidence, a corpse dressed in politeness. And in the quiet after his criticism, she whispers apologies. For existing, for breathing, for taking up space. For every thought that dares to rise, every feeling that dares to live. Because that's what devaluation does. It rewires love into fear, and fear into obedience. He doesn't have to cage her anymore. She's learned to cage herself. To him, this is peace. To her, it's absence of self. He calls her stillness calm. He calls her silence love. He convinces her that the only way to be loved is to dim her own light. And when she finally stops resisting, and starts doing things his way to keep the peace. When she nods instead of questioning, when she smiles instead of crying, he leans back, satisfied. Because to him, this is love's highest form, obedience disguised as devotion. But even in that muted surrender, something still flickers deep inside her, a faint, fragile knowing that refuses to die. This is not love. And that whisper, that trembling defiance, is the first breath of the woman who will rise from the ruin. But for now, she sits in the emptiness of her own apology, while David watches, satisfied, in his masterpiece of control. And in the softness of her submission, he finally feels safe. But safety isn't enough. Control isn't complete. Not until she stops trusting even herself. Next comes the rewrite of her reality. The gaslight. If this story echoes yours, take a breath. The narcissist tried to erase you because your light revealed their emptiness, your empathy, your warmth, your steadiness, everything they can never be. They mistook your kindness for compliance, your patience for permission. But their control was never strength. It was desperation disguised as power. They needed to make you small so they could feel tall, to convince you that you were too much so they could stay in control. They may have shaped your story, but the narrative still belongs to you, because the same heart they tried to silence still beats with courage. What would it feel like to take back every inch of yourself they tried to erase? Download affirmations for reclaiming your worth to help you reconnect with the self that never truly disappeared. Healing begins when you realize you are always enough. Let us know which moment stayed with you. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it. Subscribe to follow Anna's next chapter. For now, remember, you are not the shadow they painted. You are the color they feared. You are not the silence they mistook for peace, nor the apology they taught you to speak. You are the echo that outlived their noise, the steady truth they could never erase. What fades under control will rise again in freedom.